Andrew Parker from CMG, from CBC as well. What really strikes me, a lot of things strike me, but one thing is that I'm very interested in is the public's perception of journalists and the work that they do. And I wonder, it seems like we're moving towards a time when we need to be, journalists ourselves need to be kind of entering the picture either on the street or you suggest talking to our MPs. How do we do that in a way that doesn't take away from the way the public views us now, which is we're doing our jobs, we're telling stories, we're talking about local politics, but in a sense we're not becoming the story. We're not on the street, we're not kind of putting our hands up and saying, you know, people wake up, we need to support journalists, support their work. How can we do that without changing the perception of the public that somehow we're, well, I guess I'm trying to get at, what's your perception of how the public would feel if journalists suddenly start to push the debate, push the conversation, if the public itself starts to push government to intervene, then the government usually listens to the voters. So what can we do without changing the way we're perceived, that favorable perception that we have?
I think one of the attributes of journalism is that it occurs at a distance from the story, at, you know, close enough to understand and close enough to be connected, but with enough distance to maintain a fairness around it and not being emotionally attached to a particular kind of outcome for the story. You know, to me, that's journalism as best is intellectually engaged and emotionally detached. So, and I could just sort of see getting beaten up at home just for that. So I think it's important what you say. I think probably, you know, in your personal and private discussions with people, you know, you should do that. I don't think your journalism should be used as a tool for, you know, for the political means of furthering the interests of greater journalism. I can see why people might intellectually disagree with that, and I could see that would be a valid tool, rule. I just kind of think it could become very distorted to your journalism and confidence sapping to the people who follow your journalism. That, you know, I don't think they like journalists with agendas, even if it's everybody's agenda is thought to be, you know, the right agenda and a public interest agenda, obviously. So I think I wouldn't do that. Now, I think the owners are in a slightly different position in terms of, you know, they have a huge megaphone of their advertising and their ability to, you know, use ad space to, you know, and marketing money to tell stories. We see a number of journalistic organizations in the States now, in Canada too, talking about, you know, the importance of journalism at this juncture in history and a good journalism. And I think it's pretty important that that they use those megaphones. You know, nobody's going to tell the story if we don't tell it itself. So I'd sort of say, in the case of a reporter, I think it should be a kind of individual, private, away from your work kind of thing. And in terms of a publisher, they shouldn't mix it with the news. But, you know, it's fine to me to mix it with their marketing.